All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Brian and Alicia here. Breathe and believe.
Looks like we're good.
Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully, we're all good.
Yeah.
You never know with this stuff.
Oh.
So, this is our second week with Lost and Found, and we love doing this. We're talking about breath work. We're talking about how to find comfort in the discomfort, how to build that inner resilience, how to become sort of almost like masters of our reality, or being able to overcome the challenges that we face in life, especially right now with what's going on in the world. I mean, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much sort of chaos, and in general, for people in general, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of angst. And so how can we overcome those things? How can we deal with life in ways that are readily available to us more than anything? That's the biggest thing. Like, how can we adjust immediately on the spot? And we talked about that last week with the breath work. That's what we do. We teach breath work. So meditation, breath work is where it's at. Breath work allows us to get into that place, into that stillness.
Mm-hmm. And right now, like, there's just so many people. We all can kind of feel and resonate with the fact that we're in the survival, because there's just so much uncertainty around us. And so it's really, when we talk about that resiliency and finding peace within the storm, it's not just about being in survival mode, but how can we use whatever life is throwing at us as an opportunity. There's a dog is shaking the camera. There's a dog shaking itself, or itching itself. So,
Earthquake.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen next.
But how can we use life's challenges as not just a way to be in survival mode so much, but as a way, opportunities for growth, and to really just maximize our life in general. And so this is as hard as it can be to see at times, it is an opportunity that we can use. You know,
bigger picture, the most chaotic times are when the greatest novelty and the greatest inventions and the greatest things come forward. Mm-hmm. And so we've had such a good period of a strong economy, and everything's good and all this stuff, and now everything's kind of getting shaken up a little bit. And it's almost like, Wim Hof, we love Wim. He's a breathwork teacher. He's out there doing amazing things. If you don't know who Wim Hof is, definitely worth Googling. But he's all about this whole like building in a resiliency. It's all because we've lost our strength. We've lost our ability to handle challenge. We've lost our natural ability to fight off infection, fight off disease, fight off challenge in our lives, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, through comforts, through convenience. Mm-hmm. We've had it too good for too long. And I think the system now is realizing, like, systematically, it's like, okay, something's got to change. Something's got to change here. We're too dependent on too much simple stuff, and there's a new complexity in the world, and we're in this sort of literally a new era. We're in a whole new sort of paradigm shift almost. Mm-hmm. And so what we're realizing that we need to discover within ourselves is that sense of, this is where you find inner peace, this is where you find wholeness, this is where you find fulfillment, is in here, not on the outside. Mm-hmm. Not through money, video games, whatever, entertainment, whatever those things are. Those are distractions. The more we look for our fulfillment, our wholeness outside of ourselves, the more we lose grip, or we lose touch with where it truly lies, is within us. And so that's what these practices are all about, is connecting with our own inner ability and our own natural ability to handle challenge, but not just challenge, but on extreme levels. Like, literally bring it to the sense of, like, we have this ability within ourselves to overcome things that, like, science said you can overcome, like going into an ice bath for 2 hours. I know no one's going to want to do that. No one's going to be like, yeah, go in an ice bath. That sounds really cool. But, like, literally, like, challenging ourselves, like people climbing Mount Everest or actually Kilimanjaro in like 22 hours when you're dead, and if you try to do it in less than 5 days, your body won't acclimate to it. But our bodies can. And that's just an example. With anything, literally anything we do in life, we can look at it like we can go with it than anyone's gone before, if we're into that. But just knowing that within us lies that sort of that superhuman or that ability to overcome.
And
right?
that's an extreme example, which like more power to you if you're like one of those people who want to break all these different records. Awesome. But even like for people who, you know, might have these limiting beliefs about ourselves, or might just have thought like, well, I've always just understood myself not to be good at X, Y, Z. Once you understand like our neuroplasticity, epigenetics, all of those different factors, and just how if we put ourselves outside of the comfort zone and we implement practices and we believe in it, then we can overcome so much, and it can make you, you know, your life look totally different, and that's what's exciting. Yeah. So even if you're not like an extreme person who wants to go do these extreme things, like you can, but we all have something in our life that feels extreme, that feels out of reach, that feels too hard, or like we won't be able to accomplish it. And really, like, all of this is just teaching us that we do have that power within. Yeah. And that's empowerment. That's the piece that we really want to stress to anybody watching.
We all have our own mountain to climb. Mm-hmm. We all have our own challenges to face. So it's relative. It's a relative scale, whether that's an actual mountain or that's something in our lives that we're facing. Let's look at it from that relative sense that we can overcome it. Like literally anything that presents itself in our life, we can overcome it. And when we do, we build that resilience. That's what it's all about. Each time we overcome the littlest thing. That's what last week's lesson was about, was that 4-7-8 breath, or just coming to your breath when you're challenged, maybe in traffic or whatever. You get a bill in the mail, those things are always great, where you're like, yeah, everything's good financially, and then you get this like bill and you're like, well, wait a minute, I didn't expect this thing. Yep. So it's like, and you get agitated, and it's like, it's so, looking back a year later, you'd never care. It doesn't even matter. It's not a big deal. Most of these things, we look back a year later, it's nothing. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, why do we react so much? It's that stress response system that we talked about that's out of whack. Mm-hmm. Our stress response system's like, freaking out on everything. Right. And we need to overcome that to a point where it's like, it's all good. Doesn't matter. This stuff in the world right now, I mean, it's just change. It's just part of the complexity. It is life. You know, we should not be that freaked out right now by what's happening. It's more of like, let's be observant and smart and prepared and protective, but not freaked out about it. That's because things like this are going to always happen. They always have. So, but I think really with what it is, there is a lot going on, even though like one of us might be chill in our families or our friends or whatever. We know people that are going through hardship, and it's hard to be stuck inside, and there's all these different factors. Who knows? It's not the best time in the world. It's not the funnest time in the world. Maybe people are enjoying it, but I think some people are stressed and want to have ways of coming into stillness and finding that peace in the storm. So we're going to start with a practice. We're going to go right into practice right now. So this is going to be about a 10 to 15 minute breathing exercise and chill, right? Little meditation. We're just going to ground ourselves so that we can feel in ourselves that and in our wholeness, and seeing how that breath can change our body just through breathing. So right now, even with your eyes open, just kind of or close your eyes and just kind of feel how you feel, kind of reflect on your day or your week or your month. And how is life right now? You know, it's like, do you feel stressed? Do you feel on edge? Or do you feel calm or whatever? Just inventory that. Just notice that as you start to begin to focus on your breathing. And then remember, if you were with us last week, or we always want to, when we do these breathing exercises, we want to make sure it's from the belly. There's a sense of expansion in the breath when we breathe, that it's not just coming from the chest. Make sure you're in a comfortable seat with the spine straight. You can even be laying down. That's perfectly fine. Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. So we're going to come more into our breath with each breath. Inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. So first we're just attention to the breath. Inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. And there's a slight restriction at the back of the throat. It's called Ujjayi breathing. It's like an ocean wave. It's like Darth Vader breath. Inhale through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. Feel that breath moving through your body. Really make sure that the breath, even though it's pretty light, that it's moving through the body. Lower belly, ribs, chest expands, and then exhale all the way back out. Now listen to that breath. Everything expands on the inhale, exhale, it relaxes. Feel the breath moving through your body. Visualize it. Very powerful tool of visualization. Imagine your whole body's filling with life force energy. Exhale, you're releasing the negativity, you're releasing the challenge, whatever limitations, whatever doesn't serve you, you exhale it out. Inhale, you bring in the fresh life force, the light, pure energy. Exhale, release the tension, the toxicity. Now we're going to inhale for a count of 4. Inhale through the nose. And then hold your breath. Slowly release the breath out the mouth for a count of 8. Nice and slow. Inhale for 4. Hold the breath. Slowly release for 8. Inhale for 4. Hold the breath. Slowly release for 8. Inhale for 4. And hold the breath. Slowly release for 8. Now just come into a gentle breathing through the nose only. Very gentle breath through the nose. Imagine a gentle ocean wave, and that's your breath. Gentle breath in, gentle breath out. Gentle ocean wave breath. Everything relaxing with the breath. Gentle inhale, gentle exhale. Now hold on the exhale. Gentle inhale, gentle exhale. Hold the breath. Gentle inhale, gentle exhale. Hold. 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 And come back to regular breathing through the nose. Everything's calming and relaxing. Now use your right hand. Use your right thumb to block the right nostril. And then put your first 2 fingers on your third eye point, your forehead. And then we take a deep inhale through the left nostril. And then hold the breath. And then use your ring finger of the right hand to block the left nostril and exhale out the right nostril. Block the right nostril, deep inhale left. Block the left, exhale right. Block the right, inhale left. Block the left, exhale right. Block the right, inhale left. Block the left, exhale right. Block the right, deep inhale left. Block the left, exhale right. Block the right, deep inhale left nostril. Block the left, exhale right. Just keep that breath going. Block the right, deep inhale left. Block the left, exhale right. Make the inhales as deep as possible, left nostril. Block the left, exhale right. 3 more. Make them as deep as you can. Now on the last one, deep inhale left. Hold the breath. And you take another sip of breath in. Hold. Now block the left, exhale right. Hold the breath out, release the hand, relax everything. And feel in your body. Everything relaxes. Start to feel the gentle vibration through your body. Relaxing in the breath hold. Then deep, deep inhale through both nostrils. And then bring the energy all the way up. Feel it through your whole body and then release the breath. Relax everything. Coming right back to the gentle ocean wave breath. Gentle breath in. Gentle breath out. Hold the breath. Gentle breath in. Gentle breath out. Hold. Gentle breath in. Gentle breath out. Hold the breath. Find comfort in that need for air. Gentle breath in. Gentle breath out. Hold. Find comfort in the need for air. Gentle breath in. Gentle breath out. Hold the breath. Now come back to regular breathing through the nose. Everything calming and relaxing. Slow, deep inhale through the nose for a count of 7. As much air as you can bring in. And then hold the breath at the top. You can lift all the way through the crown. The spine lifts, everything lifts. You're holding the breath. Your whole body's filled with air. And then it's a big sigh out the mouth, release. Slow, deep inhale for 7. As much air as you can bring in. Keep bringing it all the way in. Bring it all the way up to the top. Hold the breath. Feel your whole body expanding with the breath. And let it all out. Slow, deep inhale for 7. Hold the breath. Release. Slow, deep inhale for 7. Hold the breath. Release it out. Relax everything. Just find that inner stillness, inner peace, inner calm. Now whisper the words to yourself: optimism, joy, and gratitude. Optimism, joy, and gratitude. Optimism, joy, and gratitude. Feel the energy of those words. Feel it in every cell in your body. Optimism, joy, and gratitude. Optimism, joy, and gratitude. Optimism, joy, and gratitude. Feel that through every cell in your body. And just come into silence and just feel. Allow yourself to be completely in your own being, in that depth and in that stillness. Allow the music to fill that depth of your being. Optimism, joy, and gratitude. Very slowly, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Coming back slowly, maybe take some breaths to come back. You want to come out nice and gently. Feels pretty good, huh? Just a little bit of breath work, how much it can bring us into inner peace, stillness. That's so powerful. So that's sort of the basis of our daily practice. That would be 1.0. If we were going to give someone a breath work, it would be that specific practice. And there's so many breaths to choose from. There's so many breaths we practice. There's so many breaths we know. That's the series we use and that we've found to be the most effective. Now we'll increase that. Next week we're going to go to a deeper level with the breath. We're going to do that each week. But that basic practice, and that's in the handout you guys have been given for Lost and Found. We provide you guys with handouts last week, and if you don't, just message us and we'll get that to you. But that's in the very back of that handout, is that breathwork practice. It's very powerful. If you do that breathwork every day for 40, more like 90 days, 40 days, you'll start to really know the difference. Your life will change. There's no doubt. It's impossible to do that breathing every day without it changing us. It's kind of like saying, if I eat French fries every day, it won't make me unhealthy. The opposite of that, right? What I've found with this breath, I don't take supplements anymore, right? I used to be huge on supplements. I don't take them anymore. I don't need them. I don't feel like I need that from supplements anymore because it's putting our bodies into an optimal state. Mm-hmm. So if anyone wants to share with us what they felt, about that breath, that'd be awesome. Or if they have any questions, we can kind of read the comments.
Yeah, you can see that now. Or if you came in the middle and we were touching our faces and you're wondering why during nostril breathing.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
So funny.
But anyways, let's get into like the benefits of this breathing. Last week we talked about just coming into that calm inner stillness. Now this is more into like the physiological benefits of breath. Like literally we're creating our own healthcare system here. We're literally like removing the need for so much of that, the system that is in place to sort of make us healthy. We're creating it within ourselves, right? This is a foundation for health and happiness and vitality. And it's growing, it's everywhere. The evidence is there, it's scientific. Mm-hmm. This isn't yoga, this is breath work. It's also pranayama. The yogis loved it, but this is a Western as much as Eastern. It's a full scale health practice. And if we do it daily, it changes things in our body. Now, let's talk about something. This applies to like all this stuff with immune system, the virus, of course. I don't want to get too into it, but this does play a role in this, in that the nose breathing part. So last week we talked about 4, 7, 8. And the thing about these breaths is those are all in your daily practice, right? That we have in that book. So now we talk about each one and the benefits each week. And so that nose breathing, the gentle breathing through the nose only, that's Buteyko breathing. It's called Buteyko. And so Buteyko, Konstantin Buteyko, he was a Russian in hospitals, and he was working with these patients that were sort of in intensive care. And they'd come in, and the patients that were breathing really hard would die. And the ones that were relaxed breathers, and he'd literally measure their breath. He'd go up and they'd measure their breath. And the ones who were relaxed breathers, can you read that? I don't know. Yeah. I got so much blare. Yeah.
We'll read it when you're done.
Okay. Sure. And so the ones who were the relaxed breathers would live. And so he's like, there's something here. The ones who are breathing really hot, intensely, chest breathers, dying. The ones who are very gentle are living. So he then studied this and realized that this is the most effective way for us to breathe, is nice, gentle nose breathing like this. Okay, now, yogic breathing, quote unquote, that's what it's called, is diaphragmatic breathing. We're inhaling, the diaphragm's dropping, or exhaling, it's raising. We're doing this motion with the diaphragm, which is really effective. It stimulates our vagus nerve, it stimulates our psoas, all these different things in our body, activates prana and life force and all. That's all good. But that's a practice. That's something we do when we practice. When we are normally at rest, we want to gentle breathe, like a gentle ocean wave. We want to be still. When we're going to bed before we fall asleep at night, we want to breathe nice and gently. If we're mouth breathers, we're shortening our lifespan, big time. Your breath is measured. The quality of your life is measured by your breath. Okay, that's straight up guideline for life. Your quality of our life is measured by our breath.
We had a student who taped her mouth shut, so you can actually buy tape now to tape it. You could use a Band-Aid too. And so I don't think she was aware that she was a mouth breather at night, but she taped it, and she could tell right away. She had a whole difference in her energy the next day, the days after she was taping her mouth shut. And so give it a try sometime. Yeah, your energy will completely shift. And the reason is because our nose is our filter, right? It's built for breathing. Our mouth isn't. Our mouth is built for eating. But we breathe too much through our mouth. And so we need to breathe through our nose more. It's a natural filter. It also boosts nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, huge, right? Nitric oxide is what that secret or ingredient or what Viagra does. That's nitric oxide. Anything for our blood, our cardiovascular, nitric oxide, there's a Nobel Prize winner from it. So we're building nitric oxides when we're breathing through our nose and not our mouth. And they've shown that it inhibits the cycles of the SARS, which is connected to coronavirus. And that inhibits that infectiousness in our lungs. Now that's still stuff they're focusing on, but if we're the gentle nose breather, and say we are in that high-risk category, say we're an older person, and we're in that high-risk category, I would think that, I'm going to speculate that the people who are gentle nose breathers, the nice gentle breathers, are going to live, and the ones who are, before they get the virus, are probably going to have a hard time living. Because it's putting all that stress on that's not even there, and it's killing our immune system goes into overdrive, and that's what ends up killing us. So, with that situation. But this applies to everything in life. Like, this isn't just this virus, this is in general across the board. It's like high altitude training. So high altitude training, lower oxygen levels, we're depleting the oxygen. If you notice what I said is find comfort in that need for air. That's huge. This breathing is ridiculous. It's super simple. It's kind of not fun because you're like, I'm not breathing right now. You're holding your breath on the exhale, which is weird. And we don't like it. Normally our body doesn't like it, but for a reason, because it likes comfort. So if you want to build resilience, this is the breath you do. You do it when you're walking. You do it when anything you're doing. If you're driving, you can do it. You just hold the exhale breath. Breathe as gentle as you can. It's called oxygen hunger, okay? That's oxygen hunger. So when I said find comfort in that need for air,
It's building that inner resilience. And this is what it's doing. It's building our body's resilience to CO2. So when CO2 is what tells our body to breathe, not oxygen. It's CO2. When our CO2 level rises, then our brain goes, I need to breathe. Okay? So then you breathe, right? And that's CO2 is also a waste gas, but it has other properties in that. And so the more we build that resistance to it, the less we're panic breathing. We're not going to get into those panicky states. It's a perfect breath for someone who suffers from anxiety or panic attacks. It's going to feel panicky at first, but it's building your body's ability to deal with the physiological nature of it. So your body's not going to have the panic body reaction the way it would when you've built that oxygen hunger, you've built that inner resilience. So now something happens, like you can kind of be more chill a little bit more readily, right? I mean, that's kind of vagus nerve vagal toning related, but that's basically what we're doing. We're building that CO2 resilience to CO2. That's just like high altitude training. What did that question say? Was it a question?
It just says calmness and helps push me out of the shallow breathing I catch myself doing when I'm tense. Yep, sense of peace to handle current world stress. Yes.
Nice, thank you.
I don't know.
So
my brain right
now sometimes people will hold their breath, and so when I talk about gentle breathing, yeah, your brain's right here.
We'll get to your nerdiness in a minute. I pulled it apart. Is that okay?
That's okay. The brain does not have to be in one piece.
Okay, so we don't want to mix up the shallow breathing up here is up here. That's what we want to avoid. No breathing up here. We want to move that breath down into the belly. And that's why we like that 4-7-8. That's why we start with it. Because you're holding, and the hold gives you that sense of confidence in that. And it's building nitric oxide. Inhale through the nose, holding the breath, building up nitric oxide, and it's bringing us into more meditative states when we hold our breath. The longer we hold our breath, the more we get ourselves into deeper brainwave states. So it's bringing us into a meditative state. Meditation and brainwaves are connected. Okay, so you could say meditation, or you could just say deeper brainwave states. It's the same thing, right? It's just alpha, theta waves compared to beta waves, and gamma and all that. So the breathing is getting us into deeper brainwave states. So that holding, we're moving the air, and then we come into the Buteyko. When we do the gentle inhale, gentle exhale, hold, we're still breathing from our belly. We want to make sure it's still coming from our belly. We want to eliminate this chest breathing. And the more we do the practice, the more we're going to entrain our body to breathe right through the diaphragmatic moving breathing. So we're going to eliminate the mouth breathing. The more we do it, we're training our body to breathe right. We're going to eliminate the mouth breathing, or the mouth breathing. We're cutting that out.
So Valerie, thank you so much for sharing. And that's why we love to do the practice, because some people like the science behind it, or that it just helps it solidify to do these things. But a lot of times if we just do the practice and we feel it, then that's all we need. Because then you just know, like, well, I like that feeling, especially in the chaos of the world right now. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel at peace. It makes me feel like a sense of calm when there's all of the stuff going on around us. And so I love that you shared that. So thank you for that. And really, like, the breathing is so important, because like you were saying with that sense of calm, you are training and telling this message to our brain by using your breath that we are okay. Because when we are in like the state of fight or flight, I'm gonna get out my brain, and so we have our cortex here, and we have our prefrontal cortex, and then if you cut this in half, then we have our limbic brain, and that's our fight or flight center. And so when, even before any of this virus started coming out, we were already bombarded. We were already in a state of fight or flight, just like a low level of it, most of us, just because of we were so busy, and we have all these different demands on us. We have instant, like, constant stuff coming in from notifications on our phones or whatever. And so our body was just always kind of under attack for something. And so now we have this going on too. So it's like we were already kind of off kilter, and now we're a little bit more off kilter. It's easier to be a little bit more off kilter. So when we can do the breathing, we're breathing using our diaphragm. We are sending a message to our body that we are safe, that there isn't a saber-toothed tiger in the room, that we can handle whatever it is. Then it's like our brain stops catastrophizing everything. We're able to, like, the energy stops going to that fight or flight system so much. Everything goes into that rest and digest. Then we're able to use our prefrontal cortex, our higher functioning parts of our brain, and just be able to think, like, in 5 years, is this going to matter? Or what do I have control over? Or just use some of those more cognitive processes to get us into a more peaceful state as well. But sometimes it can be too hard to rationalize our way through it or to think our way through it. We need to calm our body down first, and using the breath is just such an accessible, easy way to do that. And like Brian was saying, like, then the more we get into a practice, so we do that daily practice that we just did with you guys, and so that's key. But then when we can do, like, the making sure that we're not mouth breathing at night and training ourselves throughout the day to focus on our breathing, then we are optimizing our body, because we're sending messages. You know, we're diverting all this energy away from our fight or flight system. And, you know, there's so much stress in our bodies that we carry, and we have inflammation, and our immune system gets affected by that. And so when you're in rest and digest, then you are at that optimal functioning. And that's really where we want to be, not all of the time, but most of the time. And especially in a time like this. So then you just retrain our whole body. And that's really where, like, this breath work is such a phenomenal tool to do. Yeah.
Like, I think the first, and you're so right, this coronavirus isn't just triggered us into this stress. I mean, we've been here. We're losing it as a species, really. I mean, all the evidence out there. This is just another factor. And this might actually push people the other direction. It's going to wake a lot of people up. I was seeing this on my drive yesterday. This is off topic, but this is changing every single human being's worldview right now. What we're going through is shifting every person's worldview on this whole planet. Name something else that have done that. Maybe when we went to the moon, maybe when this, that, but this is huge, right? In that regard, just shifting us, making us more cohesive, really thinking more together as a species, working together. So, but what's going to happen is we're in these stress modes, and I see this with people I work with who are, like, super high anxiety, like their lives are anxiety, right? And at first they do the breath work and they get it, and they're like, oh, okay, I got it. And it's like, I feel calm, right? It's like I actually just brought myself into a sense of calm right there. It's like novelty. It's like this awakening in your body that you can do this. So that's bringing that stuff out of fight or flight into the more relaxed mode. Okay. And so then the more we do that, okay, then your body's being entrained. Your body's going, wait a minute, I can calm down. Okay. If we don't have that first initial, oh, this is what happened, and I got here through my own breath, and I was able to relax. And now the more I do it, the more I can find, and more I have control over my feelings and my anxiety. Are you kidding me? I mean, then it's like, then you become a breather. That's what we call them, right? People who are, like, hooked on breath work. It's a good thing to be addicted to, okay? We're definitely addicted to it. And then you become a breather, and then you take a couple days off. After 40 days, forget it. You're like, there's no way. I'm not going back to that old me. Okay? I'm not going back to that world of getting pissed off about everything. Okay? I still do during football season.
He does.
I was like, the breath just hasn't quite cracked that one yet. But just being real. But no, really, we have control over our lives in that way. And so, but we have to do it. We have to entrain ourselves. Now this is where daily practice comes in. And Valerie, I'm sure we've worked together for a long time, so you know this, that the more you do the practice, the more we do the daily practice, the more we are reverse engineering that old us, anxiety, depression, fear, all that challenge, into the new us, which is like empowered, doing this, working. It might be little bits and pieces, It's steps. You fall, but you come back up higher every time. You hit plateaus, but you'll go up and down that ladder. You'll climb and you'll fall, and you'll climb and you'll fall, and you'll go higher and higher and higher, and it's building more inner resilience. You're becoming who we truly are as human beings through this work, who we should be, what we're here to be as human beings. So,
and it's interesting because it's subtle. So a lot of times, you know, like if you're gonna go work out and you have this goal, you like feel good because you're sore the next day, or you like are sweating or something. This work is just more subtle. It's something that you'll do, and that's why it's also easy for people to neglect it and to not think it's important, because maybe at first you don't like, there's not this big dramatic shift. Some people actually can have that too, but for the most part it can be subtle. And then all of a sudden somebody's realizing like, there was, you know, this person who usually totally gets under my skin, and I have this reaction to them, and I was able to handle that. And I usually, you know, or things like reading something on the news, or being able to like walk away from something that usually in the past you would get tied up in, not having, you know, just even like being so addicted to certain things. It can be just different things where you all of a sudden, it's that reflective moment where like, wait a second, I didn't react the way that I typically react, that usually gets me into trouble, or that I don't like. And then all of a sudden you're like, yes, that's it. And that's transformational, but we just have to and really pay attention to those. So any of you who are going to start doing a breathing practice, pay attention to those things, because then that's your inventory. Like Brian started and we did an inventory first, and then doing an inventory even after, because most of the time we aren't trained to feel inside of our bodies. We're trained to be distracted and separate from them. And so that's a gift in and of itself, just to check in. How do I really feel? What does feeling even mean? Where am I feeling this? How would I describe that? Explore the innards of us and that emotional reaction and elements to who we are, and then how you feel after, because most likely you're going to feel different and in a very peaceful and a better way. And then just like even having that self-inventory day after day of like, what is life looking like? What are my relationships? How is my relationship with myself? And you'll then be able to see the profound difference that it does make in your life. So, and I love it because it's physiological. Like even if you don't do those check-ins or whatever, like, and you're just doing the breath work while you're driving, maybe you're not like having like a still moment of meditation or anything with it, you're still going to have a physiological benefit to it, because all the science that Brian just went over, but you can take it even a few steps like deeper into this as well. So
yeah, it can be challenging to see the benefits from where we are in our lives. It's not a pill. It's not something that isn't like, whoa, like, yeah, some of these breaths are absolutely, these breaths can be, you can have peak state experiences, unbelievable experience, you know, with this breath work. But the daily practice stuff, it takes time and it takes work, and it's the dedication. The dedication's key. We have to dedicate ourselves. The way the world is now, we got to dedicate ourselves to some daily practice that brings us into alignment. If we think we can find happiness and fulfillment without wholeness every day, some kind of practice that brings us into a state of wholeness, that's an actual intentional practice, forget it. It's really hard. Like, super rare exceptions. This world's too crazy. There's too much going on. There's too much dysfunction in this and everyone's lives. But we need to take the responsibility upon ourselves to find the connection within ourselves, keep establishing that connection, and grow from that, because it affects our relationships, it affects who we're around, it affects around us.
And our choices, our behaviors throughout the day. Because when you're grounded in your own truth of who you really are, and you start the day with that, then it's like when you go out and those things start coming at you, and maybe you can it's so easy to get off kilter and to react, and then you're doing things that maybe you wish you wouldn't have, and turning to different ways to cope that you wish you wouldn't. But when we can stay centered in who we truly are, and we start the day that way, then it's just like we can respond. We can use that the prefrontal cortex, the highly evolved part of our brain and our heart to go to lead out into the world, and you then become this rock or this foundation that people are going to be drawn to, and they're going to be wondering like, what do they got going on? Because I want some of that, and that's really like that steadiness, that firm rooting.
It's the flow state. So like the Michael Jordan example, he can't miss a shot. Tiger Woods, like, just can't be disturbed, just in that zone, in that flow, you know. And it's not just for like peak performance, it's for performance in life. So the more we recreate this on our own as a daily practice, the easier it is to get there in life. And it doesn't matter what you do in your life, you can apply it to anything. Okay, so I worked in restaurants for a long time, and I applied flow and meditation to working in restaurants. Literally in the zone of like everything around, like understanding everything around me, because I was in that power of now. And we've all been there. We've all experienced that to some degree. It might have been like, you know, one example is almost the most universal is music. Music gets us into that state of consciousness where everything's perfect. Like you're just in that, whatever that is. Also nature. Nature is a teacher. So you could get a lot of benefit from nature. Nature's already in balance and in cohesion. So the more we do this stuff, the more we can get there. If you're an athlete, this is breath work. Oh my gosh, it's incredible for like an athlete, but also for your schooling, your education. I know we're with Lost&Found, so there's a lot of schools on this call. Now, we talked about this last week. Clearing the calculator. If you go from one class to the next, clear the calculator. Do some breathing in between class, right? We're going to talk about left brain and right brain as we go, like the benefits. We can breathe. That's why this one, inhale left, exhale right. Actually, I want to talk about this one. Okay, so there's all these different benefits. We could talk forever, but the inhale left, exhale right. So we're going to take the rest of this to talk about this specific breath, because a really popular sort of yoga breath is inhale left, exhale right, inhale right, exhale left. It's called alternate nostril breathing. Balances the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. You see it in a lot of like kind of standard. And then this one was taught to me by my teacher. You just inhale left, block the left, exhale right. And I'm like, that is so much quicker and easier. It's such a faster benefit than the alternate nostril breathing, which I never really got that much out of it, to be honest. Other people might. But this one, remember this one. Do this one. Do this one tomorrow. Just put it down. Put a note on your phone. I'm going to do inhale left, exhale right. We call it calming breath. That's the name that we use. And just try it. Do 10 rounds as deep as you can in. Block the left, exhale right. And the exhale is just relax. It's not like forcing it out. You're not blowing farmer blow on yourself. Okay. You're just inhale left, relax it out. Inhale left, relax it out, right? Inhale left, you're doing this. It's a circle. It's like this energy. And the reason why is because we're predominantly left brain. That's the linear mind, the scientific mind. This is where all stress comes from, anxiety and everything comes from your left brain. Okay? So we're inhaling left. It switches brains. The nostril we inhale affects the opposite. Okay? Good little rule of thumb. Inhale left's going to affect our right brain. We're activating our right brain. We're bringing ourselves into more calm. We're bringing ourselves in a more calm, relaxed, connective, and cohesive state. It's the easiest breath to bring us into instant inner calm. Do that between classes. Do that like if you're overly worked, your brain's fried, you're like, I just need to relax. You know, try just 10 rounds. And then on that last one, deep inhale in. Hold, kind of build the energy, release. Hold the exhale breath and hold for as long as you can. There's a lot of stuff going on there. We're going to talk more about that next week when we get into that.
And I like to do visualization a lot with the breathing, and so I would even visualize, and you can all visualize what you want to, but you can visualize just breathing in calming energy, and every time you exhale out the right nostril, just breathing out any tension, breathing out any anxiety, stress, whatever it is, and then that it just adds a little element to it. You can also just feel. You don't have to have the visualization piece. It's just something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, visualization is a huge technique. If you're like doing a speech, if you're doing a presentation, if you're going to, you work in a restaurant and you get a table of 50 people, visualize yourself succeeding. Russell Wilson taught me this one. He's one of my favorite players. He visualizes himself winning every game and they're down by, and that always happens. So you visualize yourself succeeding, and then you're putting the mental imprint. It's the
muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory, neuroplasticity. You're literally creating in your brain the belief of what you're actually going to do. And it makes it so much easier. So before I do an event, I always visualize myself succeeding in the event. I always visualize myself, what would I look like if I was like on fire? And then you visualize that and you create that in your head, and then you've already been there. You literally are. You create it in your head. It's there. It's already happened, and then you're just recreating it in that moment. So visualization is huge. But practice that inhale left, exhale right. Practice these breaths, right? We're at a golden age right now of information and knowledge and wisdom, because all this stuff's being revealed. When I started doing this stuff, none of this stuff was available. We were just doing alternate nostril breathing. I'm like, so what? I've been doing breath work for 20 years. Never had the experiences of breath work I have now. Okay, so I was just doing it because they were just what we were told to do. But now that I know this stuff and been doing these other breath works that are more dynamic and have more effect to them, we're not going to teach you something unless we know it has a good effect on us, like a solid effect on us. We're not going to teach that. There's plenty of breaths where it just doesn't quite work for me or for you. And one might not work for you either. Like breath of fire, we're not going to teach that one. That's it's one of my favorite breaths, but not everyone it's good for, right? So, but these tools are amazing. They're literally amazing. I've been practicing yoga for 20 years. I do breath work only as my daily practice. I only breathe now. I don't do any asanas or any movement like that, because I get more benefit out of 20 minutes of breathing than I would out of an hour of movement. Now I do move 3 to 4 times a week. I do the asanas in the physical practice or more. I will do that. I'll add that in there. But if I only have a specific choice, if I only had one thing to do every day, it'd be breath work.
And I think it's important too to even recognize, like, when you can start your day with something as easy as breath work, you're starting your day sending the message to yourself of how important, like, it's an act of self-love. So you value yourself and your roles and whatever you're going to go do out in the day, your relationships, whatever it is, so much that you're going to give yourself this gift, that you're going to start the day off strong by connecting with that truth or that wholeness, because that's so important. And I mean, what a beautiful gift for yourself, and understanding too, like, when you can dedicate yourself to a daily practice, it's also just building the muscle of, like, you are reliable, you are worthy, you deserve all of this. And so a lot of times we can get into the habit of giving up on ourselves or self-sabotage, and that can be pretty easy. And so then we get into those cycles, and then we end up having these belief systems about ourselves. So the daily practice is also a way to break through that and just build that other, like, look at me, I am dependable, I can keep a promise to myself, I can do this because it matters. And that's super powerful too. So it's just another element to why it's so important to do the daily practice. And I mean, breath work, it is, and that's my daily practice as well, because it's something like you can't ever really come up with an excuse why you didn't get it done. Like, if there's a morning where it's chaotic and I'm on my way to work, I will do the breathing while I'm driving. And it's not breathing that's going to be harmful while I'm driving. And I know myself well enough to know that that's something that I can do while I'm driving. If there's other breaths, like, you guys all have to be aware of your own self and how the breaths have an impact on you. But even, like, in your work setting or whatever you're doing, like, you can always create space. There was one practice is just, like, anchoring on breathing practices to routines that you do throughout the day. So you have to go to the bathroom several times a day. So when you do that, that's a cue. Then I will do some very intentional Buteyko breathing and get into the practice. So you can do your big daily practice, and I will tell you too, if you are new to meditation, or maybe you've done meditation for a long time, but it's really hard to shut off your monkey mind, doing this breathwork practice that we started with you guys, and then just carving out time to do that, and then allowing time after, your brain goes into the brainwave states that's perfect for meditation, and that you really do feel the wholeness, and you're not having your mind going a million miles a minute. And sometimes it takes a little bit to get there, but you will. If you do this every day, like your meditation, it will just feel so good when you're done. And so then maybe you want to carve a little bit more time where you can do the breath work and then just have stillness, and that's how you start your day. I mean, there's just no better. And the research is, I mean, it's just solid. There's the whole meditation aspect, and you put breath work with it. Wow, like it's perfect.
It's science. Exhale longer than inhale is going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and get you in those deeper brainwaves. So
yeah,
it's literally, it's the gift of life. I mean, it's in the Bible that God breathed the gift of life into man. I mean, that's what we are working. It's a tool. It's the best tool we have for ourselves and for our life. If you think about it, at how simple it is. You know, what exists if breath doesn't exist? Nothing.
Right.
Life doesn't exist, right? If we can't breathe. And like you said, we have no excuse. If we can breathe, we're alive. So you could be in a wheelchair, you could be elderly, you could be anything. And you can use the breath, and you can use it any time.
Right.
There's certain breath practices we don't do, like when we're driving or we're in water, or where, you know, situations where there's a chance you might pass out. I've never had a student pass out. I've never had passed out. I don't teach anything that's going to get people to pass out, but there's some things that do. But I mean, this is our tool. So
and there was some theologians say like that it is in the Bible you can translate the breath, prana, with spirit and soul.
Yeah.
And so like even just thinking of that, like you're just breathing in more like
it
literal
is,
soul.
It's spirit. And in the Native Americans, it's the wind. It's there's all these different. It's in everything. It's the life force, prana, chi, spirit. It's all that. So there's really no separation in that. It's in everything. It's life.
Yep.
I mean, it's the gift of
science
life.
is energy. It's
yeah. So it's beautiful to have these tools, and it's beautiful to share these with you guys. So let us know.
Does anybody have any questions? Anybody on there?
Yeah, if you have a question, we got a couple minutes, or otherwise, you can send it to us through Breathe and Believe or through Lost and Found. Those that breathwork practice is in that manual again. That's the whole sequence we just did. We're gonna add to it next week, I think, unless we talk more about the brain difference. I think we'll get into the bliss breath next weekend, where we're really feeling energy, and we're really feeling and experiencing like sort of like stuff going on and stuff that makes us feel really good, right? That type thing. More along the lines of like the Wim Hof breathing. So you might want to check that out. I mean, that's good stuff, but it's the same type stuff, and we're just getting deeper into it each week, into the physiological, into the benefits and all that. But breathe and believe. Stay positive out there. If you want my little 2-minute coronavirus opinion,
and then I'll give you one. Okay, you go, and then I'll go.
No, I think as long as we have these restrictions and these quarantines, that we're good. If you watch the numbers, China came down, South Korea came down of all new cases. Like you can look, and it's like it's a bell curve after 30 days. About the third weekend is where you start to see it drip, and we're already starting to seeing it drip in Italy and in Spain, and I'm watching those numbers. Hopefully after 3 or 4 days we see that tail off. We're good. We're going to see it in the United States still on the rise, because you're going to have little pockets popping up. But New York's in their quarantine, so hopefully eventually maybe in a few days they start to drop. So I think it's a gnarly situation. It could definitely get out of hand, but we're doing the right thing by staying inside and being smart about it. And the more we do that, the smoother it'll go, and the faster we'll get out of this thing.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that. So those physical things are super important, and we want to keep as many people safe as possible. But recognizing too that means the social distancing, a side effect of that can feel like isolation, and it can feel like, I mean, people are losing their jobs. People are like they're in financial hardship. So like, love Lost and Found, and love that we're able to do this with them, because that's something that in my heart, it's heartbreaking, because I know how many people are really going to be struggling with mental, emotional, spiritual health right now. And so like, take care of yourself. Do these, like, this is why breath work is so important to us, and the practices that we teach, is because we have to find the inner wholeness within us, so that when these storms come, and they will shake us, and this is life, and it's hard, but we're all in this together, and we'll come out the other side. We just have to support one another. We have to do practices that really empower us. What do we have control over? There's a lot of resources out there too, and so, you know, reach out to us, reach out to somebody if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, because it will be easy to have that happen. And I want to make sure that we're all caring for our mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health just as much as the physical. So
it's a good time to work on ourselves for sure.
Yes.
This is we're going into a whole new paradigm. This is a whole shift, and it's about that sense of autonomy here.
Yeah.
Personal empowerment, having that strength within ourselves to move through the external challenges, and in that way we're taken care of. This is our source of inner guidance too. So if we're lost, we need answers, this is where we find them. That's where we know and we can trust them. So awesome, everyone. Thank you. Before we go, let's see, it just says watching.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, you can rewind it if you just jumped in. We did a breathwork practice about 5 or 10 minutes in, but we'll be back next week. And I think what we'll do is the same type thing, you know, talk for just a little bit, do the breathing practice, and then talk about it. But really, try that. Inhale left, block the left, exhale.
Okay, bye
Wonderful
everyone.
evening, everyone. See ya. Breathe and believe.